A British foot patrol on West Falkland last week. It's now high summer. Not long ago, these islands were the centre of Britain's world. Over 200 servicemen dead, 8,000 miles from home. And this is pervasive. At Goose Green, the grave of a Harrier pilot. Nearby, the shot-up Pucaras of the Argentine Air Force. For a while, Pucara became a menacing word in the British vocabulary, but they were no match for the Harriers. The Paras lost 15 men at Goose Green. Their victory liberated the island's largest rural community from Argentine occupation. 114 men, women and children spent 30 days locked up in the village hall. Their recovery from that experience has been swift. It's now business as usual. 100,000 sheep to shear.
The rubbish and tidying, and I think I'll still be doing that in 2 years' time.
Soldiers still outnumber residents on his farm. But their presence in Goose Green, as elsewhere in the islands, is more than tolerated. It is welcomed. For the garrison represents security against another Argentine invasion. And the Royal Hampshires patrol in and apparently here to stay. Across the water from Goose Green, the army is starting a new and permanent existence. Royal Engineers have been given the task of creating accommodation that will house the Goose Green Army garrison for the indefinite future. Physical separation has been ordered because the army fears future friction if soldiers continue to be billeted on the civilian community. In fact, the military presence in the settlements has had very little impact on daily civilian life. Early morning in Port Stanley, and the British garrison goes to work by landing craft. Their accommodation, a British Rail ferry in the harbour. There are some 4,000 servicemen in the Falklands at present, about half of them in Stanley, doubling the capital's population. Men from the Royal Engineers and the Royal Corps of Transport are transforming Port Stanley into a formidable military base. RAF Phantoms are now stationed at Stanley. They joined a detachment of Harriers. The jump jets were the great technical success story of last year's campaign. They remain on a very high level of alert. Rapier, the anti-aircraft missile system.
Helicopter crossing left to right, friendly.
This one is guarding Stanley Airfield. Every aircraft movement is monitored. Under its protection, commercial life has resumed in earnest. Bales of wool from outlying sheep stations are brought into Stanley, over the top of one of the Argentine Air Force's last targets. The Sir Tristram, sister ship of the Sir Galahad, was also caught in the open during the landings at Fitzroy, the biggest British disaster of the war. The transport of wool from the Falklands, like most other commercial activities, is the effective monopoly of the Falkland Islands Company. No one on the islands really wants to see it out of business. As an absentee landlord, the company is credited with taking its responsibilities seriously, but the sheer size of its holdings are a political embarrassment. The Falkland Islands Company owns 43% of the land. Other outside interests own a further 4 estates on East Falkland and 3 estates on West Falkland, amounting to 76%. Further to the west, another absentee landlord, John Hamilton Estates, owns large island farms. One of them is Saunders Island. We flew to Saunders by Army Air Corps helicopter. If there is to be a land reform on the Falklands, it is said that Saunders and other islands owned by Hamilton Estates are the most obvious candidates for government takeover, subdivision and redistribution. Saunders Island was bought by a Scots shepherd, John Hamilton, who made a fortune by pioneering sheep farming in Patagonia on the Argentine mainland. The settlement on Saunders needs attention. And
that no British government in the foreseeable future will be able to say we can't afford to look after the Falklanders, therefore we are going to impose a settlement on them.
The frigate HMS Minerva, on her way to Port Stanley, crosses with the guided missile destroyer HMS Antrim on her way to sea. Antrim had a busy war, from the South Georgia landings to the 1,000-pound bomb that failed to explode. There are other warships in the area too, and an undeclared number of submarines. For the time being at least, no one can doubt the British resolve. Government House, Port Stanley. An army helicopter helps out on the civilian front. On board, two members of the island parliament, both representing rural constituencies, both of them farm managers for the Falkland Island Company. The reason for their journey is to gain the ear of a visiting British minister. The link with Britain must be emphasised. Exploded ammunition.
Claude, how did this one turn up?
Well, my wife Judy, she was looking for the dead sheep, but she thought she'd seen one, and she just walked along here and spotted the shell after the bomb disposal.
Dead sheep. How many sheep have you actually lost from this sort of thing?
Well,
your headmaster's asked me to come to talk to you today about the dangers of unexploded explosive ordnance, UXO, unexploded explosive ordnance, which I know some of you have seen before and heard before from my predecessors, but it is a dangerous subject, and I would like to think that you all should hear it at least once a term so that you know what the dangers are. First of all, the mines. I'm sure you've all seen these signs. These signs are used for the minefields. Those two, that's the Argentinian one, that's the British one, and also the red warning triangle. Okay? P4B anti-personnel mine. Very dangerous. Those of you who knew Major Ward, that's what took off his foot. The SB-33 anti-personnel mine. The FMK1 anti-personnel mine, you won't normally find it with the yellow band on. If you do, it should be safe. Without the yellow band, it's not safe. And the number 4 Israeli shoebox mine. Now the anti-tank mines. C3B, anti-tank mine. The SB-83. So those are the mines you could find. We do find them, and I hope you don't. If you do see those, make sure you report them to us as quickly as possible. And my least favourite, which is the hand grenade, the proper hand grenade, used as a booby trap. Stick the stick in the ground, put a bit of string or wire onto the ring here, put that off to another stake, somebody walks through, they pull out the pin, that goes bang. Okay?
It's an Argentinian 81mm mortar, HE. The safety pin is still in place, but as I explained earlier on to you, the fuses are liable to be a little bit dicky. I'll take it down to the pile to be demolished later.
To date, the Army have found 2.5 million pieces of unexploded ammunition. They find them by digging up old Argentinian positions. New finds are made daily. These crates of rifle ammunition were discovered while we were filming. In attempting to make the camp safe again, bomb disposal squads have been working almost every day for the last year and a half. The ammunition that is unused is usually blown up.
Clear the area, please. I'm ready to prepare the charges.
1545.
Oh, 19 Bravo, roger. Out.
Today, as a result of the conflict, there are 3 military to every 1 civilian, and life's changed dramatically on these remote islands.
Without TV and things like that. And it's really a different kind of life, but it is what we know, so we like it and we wouldn't trade it for any other kind of lifestyle.
Remembrance Sunday in Stanley this year has a very special significance. The Civil Commissioner, Sir Rex Hunt, and the Commander-in-Chief of the British forces gather together to remember those who died in the 2 world wars, and especially to remember the 237 British servicemen who were killed in the battles for the liberation of the Falkland Islands. The invasion, the war, and now the vast military presence have brought the Falklands sharply into the 1980s. Hercules planes flying in vital supplies and troops are a constant reminder that life is no longer the same. The 4,000 men and women who garrison the Falklands are changed over every 3 to 4 months. They arrive by sea after a 10-day journey from Ascension Island, and because of the distance from England, they must bring all their supplies with them. Most of them live 4 to a room in these floating barracks, and although there's no immediate danger of invasion, the troops are kept in what the military call a state of high readiness. The Fortress Falklands policy is designed to ensure there will never be another armed conflict in these islands. It was at San Carlos, now the site of the military cemetery, that the British started the re-invasion of the Falklands. Overnight, this remote and windswept settlement became the focus of the world's attention.
still. Grundy,
The guard dogs patrol the perimeter of the airfield at night with their handlers. To make sure that the valuable aircraft are safe, they're trained not to let go.
Get out. Stay there. You're on 5 paces back.
A Phantom jet goes through its paces. If this squadron of jet fighters had been stationed here 2 years ago, it's thought that the Argentinian invasion would never have taken place.
The aeroplane, the wing form here, very, very strong.
The Phantom is one of the RAF's most devastating aircraft. It can carry up to 8 warheads, including heat-seeking missiles, and is capable of firing 6,000 rounds of ammunition a minute. Conscious that young people everywhere are fascinated by sophisticated technology, the Air Force are pleased to show Stanley's school children around their planes and answer their questions.
It's the Rolls-Royce space system. With the, this part you see here is the afterburning or the reheat system. Fuel is squirted into the jet pipes. If you look up, you'll see a lattice work inside. And that's neat fuel, which explodes in the jet pipe here. Right, let's just carry around the front of the aeroplane then. Heads will walk up into the wing section there.